Today on my homeowners update, we're going to be talking about property taxes. Yes, property taxes are something that people think about when they buy, but then they pretty much ignore them until there's a problem. And this video is me saying, no, you guys need to pay attention every single year to your property taxes because you could be leaving big money on the table, like big money. Okay, let's dig into it. Now, if you're new to the channel, if you're not, say it with me. I mean, if you've been with me for years, you know it better than I do. I've been a mortgage lender for 18 years. My team's licensed in 50 states. We're here to help you guys with mortgages. So if you're looking at refinancing, buying that next house, looking at an investment property, call us 786-933-2077. Property taxes. Okay. Here's the deal. You need to pay attention because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to be paying property taxes that you shouldn't. And it is something that you can appeal. So today we're going to be talking about the basics of what you need to know as a homeowner, as well as how to appeal your property taxes. So first of all, as a homeowner, what I would suggest is take your county. We're going to use Brevard County, Florida as an example. Brevard County, Florida, property tax assessment. That is your Google search term. It should take you to the county page that explains how your property taxes are assessed. Very important. You want to know how your local area does property taxes because it varies dramatically across the country. The only state where it's really easy to a large extent is California. California, when you buy a house, they reassess your property based off of the purchase price, and then they have a 2% cap, whether you live there or you're an investor, it's 2% annually. Now, the little cities and towns all have extra taxes for like, we want more books for children, you know, $150. But overall, that state is the easiest. Man, there are some states that are complicated, and counties, you know, you'll have a state where every single county is different. That's why you want to look up your county rules. Okay. The next thing you want to look up is once you have those county rules, let's do the county again. Your next search is Brevard County, Florida, property tax exemptions. So we looked up their basic assessment rules. We looked up what exemptions that you can get. For instance, in Florida, you've got homestead if you're going to live in the house. That's so important, guys. It changes what your taxes get taxed at by over 7%. No joke. You could be, if you're a disabled veteran, if you're a veteran, if you're over 55, you know, there's different property tax exemptions. In certain portions of the country, like California has low income tax exemptions. A lot of places have something where if you're a specific income, you get a break. So you want to make sure that you know every single property tax exemption in your area. This is going to be important information for when you review your tax bill. Now, your tax bill gets mailed to you every year, and in certain parts of the country, twice a year or 3 times a year. Even if your mortgage lender is paying your bill on your behalf every single month, you still get that bill, and it's up to you to review it. Because the mortgage lenders are not looking at the bill going, oh, we got to appeal this one. It's not what happens when they're servicing your loan. You know, it's something you need to do. So you're going to look at your property tax bill. Now, most of these county websites are going to have an explainer on how to read the bill. Do that. But what you really are looking for is a couple big things. Let's do the easy stuff. Do you have all the exemptions you should? Texas, for example, you know, 100% disabled veteran, you don't even pay taxes. But if you didn't do the paperwork, if you didn't file, guess what? You have a tax bill. You know, that's what you guys need to know about exemptions is that the mortgage company, the title company, no one's telling property taxes to a large extent with some of these exemptions. It's up to you, and you need to check, and they won't just fix it, and they don't just know. Okay, so you're going to check the bill to make sure you should have every single property tax exemption you should. The next thing you're going to check is that the bedroom, bathroom count and the square footage is correct. Very important. You know, if it has that your house is 4 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, guess what? You may have a lower property tax bill. If the property tax bill has that your house is 4,000 square feet and it's 2,000, you're going to have a lower property tax bill. And you're like, how could they make mistakes like this? It happens. It happens. So that's why you want to check. You're going to make sure bedroom, bathroom, square footage is all accurate. Now, if you're looking at your bill and you're like, this is just so much, it's jumped so much, there's certain parts of the country. In preparation of this video, I was reading this article on North Carolina. And in North Carolina, in the last few years, there's certain counties that have seen between a 25% and 88% increase in taxes. No joke. And it's because there's not caps in place. You know, we had this period of time where, for example, Tennessee, they do every 4 years is when they reassess. So if you bought a house in 2021 and it's getting reassessed now, like that's a big jump. Like a lot of this can be jarring. So you guys are going to need to look at your tax bills to see if there's a way to appeal it. Okay. So you're looking for that very basic information. If there's anything wrong that's very basic, such as square footage, bed, bath, or missing exemptions, you're going to call your property tax office. They may just correct it. That's not necessarily an appeal, so you want to have that conversation with them. Okay, let's say there's no errors and you're like, Jen, you know, this has that my house is worth $600K. My neighbor just sold theirs for $500. Let's talk about how to do a property tax appeal. Now, if they have your house worth $600, but if it was for sale right now, you'd only get $5, that's the wrong number. That is something to appeal. And I do think we're going to have pockets of the country, especially this year and next year, where, you know, they may be going off of a value that was a year ago, and it could be lower now. So you definitely want to be paying attention to that. And if you're like, well, how do I even know what my house is worth? Okay. I like homes.com. I would literally say type in your address. The reason is if you scroll down, they have a couple different blocks that tell you what the house is likely worth. Now, if you're still friendly with your real estate agent, I would just call your real estate agent and be like, hey, I just got my tax bill. I'm looking at appealing it. Can you send me some recent comps? Okay. Comps are sales of homes similar to yours. And sometimes you're like, well, doesn't the tax assessor see all this? I don't know, guys. You know, my sister did this not too long ago. She's in Washington, and they sent her a tax bill, and it was crazy. And she's like, oh, hell no. You know, she got comparable sales. She got everything because they were assessing it $500,000 more than what the house was worth. And look, Washington's a very expensive area, but she was able to appeal it and get her tax bill reduced. So I do think errors get made. And I think you really, really need to be on it and paying attention to it. So you can ask your real estate agent for comparable sales. You can go on Homes. You can go on Zillow. A lot of them will show houses that are similar that have sold recently. The other thing that you're going to want to look for is, are you in an area of gentrification? So let's say that you live in an area where everything was like $200,000 and you've lived there for 5 or 10 years or even 2 to 3 years. And all of a sudden there's an investor or a builder who's been buying houses and flipping them. So if you're in an area where all of a sudden someone comes in and they start doing up these houses and they're selling for $350, $400, well, guess what? Your tax bill is going to be based off of that unless you appeal it. And your argument on that one, because you're like, well, wait, Jen, I mean, they just sold a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $350. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Aren't I stuck? Is your house in as good of condition? Probably not, right? Like when someone goes in and flips a house, like they're putting serious money in that. So if you haven't redone your house, one of the ways to get your property tax bill lowered is to show like, hey, the stuff that you guys are using is this fancy stuff that has golden toilets. Like here's my 10-year-old toilet. Like, that can help as well. Okay. So the key thing is this. Number one, know how your property tax bills work, know how the county you're in works. You know, you don't want to be surprised. And I think about those states where they only reassess every 3 to 5 years. That's where we see the drama usually. And especially with what's happened over the last few years, you know, we saw parts of the country where generally the average appreciation was like 2%, we saw all of a sudden these areas doubling in 3 years. So there are still some property tax bills that are going to be coming out, giving people panic. So you do want to make sure that if you have a good reason to appeal it, you're appealing it. So going to the county website, looking at the property tax appeal process, I would say do that now before you even get the bill, because some of the timelines are crazy. I was reading something that there's like one portion of Florida where once you get the bill, you have 25 days. That's really quick. So you're gonna have to be on it. Now, if you're like, Jen, this is horrible, I don't wanna do it. I'm just looking at my notes. There are companies that can help you with property tax appeals. So there's one, I believe Realtor.com just paired with them. They're called Ownwell, and they're not in every state, but what they do is they appeal your property taxes for you. Look, all these companies that I saw online, they have some level of mixed reviews. And the way most of them get paid is they take a percentage of the first year savings. So let's say you work with Ownwell and they save you $1,000, they're going to charge between $280 to $350. Sorry guys, I was going with 10,000. So they're charging between 28 and 35% based on what I could see. And that's on the savings. So, you know, it is something you want to know. Would I pay a company that just charges me whether or not they're successful with the appeal? No, I would want them to have some sort of motivation to move forward and appeal that. There's also sometimes a real estate agent will help you with it. Local attorneys, you know, there's lots of services out there to help you guys with property tax appeals. You know, Ownwell, when I was researching it, they had a really high success ratio in Houston, which is why I bring them up. I do a lot of business in Texas, as you guys know, Texas, Florida, you know, California, really the whole country, but those are my bigger states. And I thought that was really interesting because taxes in Texas are high to begin with. So you do want to make sure you're not overpaying there, because if you are, it can be really jarring. So Ownwell is a company. I have not personally used them. This is not me endorsing them. This is me just giving you an example of what I could find online. You know, the fact that they have a big partnership is usually a good sign. But the bottom line is this, guys, protect your money, okay? Just because your mortgage lender sends you the bill every single month does not mean your property taxes aren't going to change. Your property taxes are going to change based on where you live, how accurate the information is, and what exemptions you have. So guard your money. Questions, comments, as always, feel free to reach out. No, I cannot appeal your taxes for you on your behalf. I will say though, for all my friends that love AI, don't use ChatGPT for this. And I say that because ChatGPT, unless you're doing the paid version, it has old information. Use Gemini. Gemini was created by Google. Gemini is my favorite. Look, I like it a lot. And if I was trying to appeal my property taxes, I would be asking Gemini, you know, what the process is, how to do it, 4 suggestions, what works, what doesn't, because in my experience thus far on the AI journey, Gemini is who I feel is the most consistent. So have a great day, guys, and I hope that you save money on your taxes. If you watch this video and you save money on your taxes, can you please come back and drop a comment? I know it would take a while, it might take a couple years, but this is one of those videos that's going to be up forever, and I really hope it helps people across the country save money. Thanks for watching.